All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to turn your coloring page in Photoshop into an animated GIF. I already have my Photoshop document open, and it's my finished file open on my screen. If you had to close yours, you want to just make sure that you're opening up your Photoshop document. You need all of these layers in order to create each frame for your animation. So you want to make sure that you're opening up the correct file. If these are not showing up, you've probably opened up your JPEG version. You should close that and open up your Photoshop document. I already have mine open, and what we're going to do now is we're going to use the timeline feature in Adobe Photoshop. I can find this by going up to Window and clicking and scrolling down until I see timeline. I'm going to click on timeline, and down below the canvas my timeline has appeared. It says create video timeline. I'm going to click on that box. Now I have a whole bunch of images down here, but I want to make sure that I can see all of my frames. So I'm going to convert this to frame animation. I'm going to click on those three small little boxes in the bottom left hand corner to turn this into a frame animation. For each frame, I'm going to show a new layer and show the individual buildup of each layer that I was able to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn off the visibility of each layer until I get to the bottom layer. And I can do this by clicking on that little eyeball. You'll see it turns into a box, and my frame is actually changing each time I do that. So I'm going to keep doing this until I get to my most bottom layer, which was my background layer and my original coloring page document. All right, when I'm done with that, I'm going to be ready to create a new frame. I can create a new frame by going to this little box that has the bottom left hand corner peeling up. It says duplicate selected frames. I'm going to click on that, and to change that frame, I'm just going to click on the eyeball for the next layer, my color 1 layer. I'm going to keep repeating this. I'm going to click on that create new frame box and turn on the visibility for the next layer. I'm going to repeat this process going back and forth until I get all the way up to my top layer, my finished product. Depending on how many layers you have, this could take a little while. It won't take more than a couple of minutes, but if you have only 3 or 4 layers, obviously it's going to take you less time. I have 12 or 13 layers, so it's going to take a little bit longer for me, but I'm just going back and forth until each layer is in its own individual frame. I'm almost there. I have a couple left to do. And now I'm all done. What I can do is I can kind of just scroll through this and see what it's going to look like. So the first frame has nothing. I can start seeing the slow buildup of green to the outer shell. And each frame is going to build up upon each other. Now, if I want to play this, it's going to have a pretty slow build up. You can see we're waiting and waiting. There we go. We're waiting some more. It's taking a very long time. And the reason for that is this is set to 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a pretty long time. To change it, I just have to click this little arrow and change the time. Now, I want to change every single frame to that time, and I could go down and change each individual frame, or I can select them all. And I'm going to do that by holding down Control as I click on each layer. As I'm clicking, I'm pressing down Control, and that's going to select all of my layers and allow me to change them all at the same time. Once I have it selected, I'm going to release that Control key. I can go to any frame, and I'm going to change it to 0.2 seconds. That's going to make the transitions go a little bit quicker. You can see this. I can press play now, and it's kind of going right through it. The next thing I want to do is I want to change my looping option. So right now it's set to once. I'm going to click on once, and I'm going to go to forever, and I'm going to make this loop forever. So I can click it, and you can see it's going, it's finishing, and it's starting right back over. I would prefer if it has a little pause at my last step. So I'm going to go and I'm going to change that to 0.5 just so there's a little pause to it. That's just my own personal preference for this. You do not have to do that. But now you can see my finished animation. In order to save this, I need to go up to File, Save for Web. It's going to open up this new window, and you can see right up here it's going to say GIF. You don't need to do anything else on this page other than hit save. I'm going to make sure that it's going into my desktop folder, and I'm going to save it right in there. This might take a couple of seconds. Now, when I go into my desktop folder, there are going to be a couple of files and they're going to look very similar. I have my original JPEG, which was the original coloring page. You can see it doesn't really have too much details for it. It's that weird name to it. If I scroll down, I also have I have another image that looks very similar to that, but if I hover over it, I can see that this is a GIF, and it also has my assignment name, my last name and color. This is my animated GIF. Next to that, I also have my JPEG of my finished version that I already turned into Google Classroom in my Photoshop document that I turned in. If you're finished with your animation, you can actually upload this one to the assignment page as well, and we can start showing them all off.